Let's talk about how humans can impact soils. As landscapers, we damage soil. It is an unavoidable part of the business. We dig it, move it, drive over it, grade it, and amend it. But as landscape professionals, we can choose to handle soils in a careful manner that can preserve it as much as possible. This care can help to ensure that the soils will support the desired plant life. But before we talk about protecting soils, let's talk about protecting ourselves and the property as we work in soil. Remember, before you dig, always make sure that the underground utilities have been marked. Anytime you dig on anyone's property in Pennsylvania, including your own, you must call 811 to have the utilities marked. Also known as PA One Call, the 811 service will notify all utilities to mark underground infrastructures such as water, gas, telephone, and electric lines, and any kind of buried cable. Call at least several days ahead of when you will be digging to allow time for the utility personnel to mark your utilities. If you dig without having the utilities marked, your business will be liable for any damages caused. The flags or painted marks indicate the approximate location of the buried utilities, and the actual location should be within 3 feet to either side of the lines. The location of utility lines can have a major impact on hardscapes and plantscapes. It can impact your ability to grade the landscape, install irrigation lines, plant trees, and install fences. Remember that healthy plants need healthy roots, and healthy roots need good soil structure. Care must be taken during construction to protect this structure. One serious negative impact that we can have on soil is compaction. When we use heavy equipment such as dump trucks and skid steers, the weight of the machinery can compact the important pore spaces in the soil. Compacting soils harms landscape plants by decreasing the ability of the roots to take up water, oxygen, and nutrients. Also, soil compaction slows or stops rainwater from infiltrating and increases runoff, which reduces the amount of water available for plant growth. In this image, you can see deep ruts that were made in a lawn because a heavy truck was driven over the turf grass and the concentrated weight of the vehicle compacted the soil. These ruts will not disappear on their own. In addition to looking unattractive, the grass growing in this soil will have a more difficult time surviving in times of wet and very dry soils. Here, landscapers are placing metal sheets down on a lawn to protect it against heavy equipment, which is needed to carry a large tree to its planting location. The plates help to distribute the weight of the vehicle and reduce compaction. If trees are suffering from compacted soil, an arborist can use an air excavation tool, such as an air spade, seen here, to remove soil and trenches radiating away from the tree. This tool does very little damage to the roots. The trenches can then be backfilled with a mixture of soil, compost, and other amendments like biochar, which will help to reduce the effects of compaction. Another way we can prevent compaction is to avoid working when soils are wet. Check for moisture content by doing a squeeze test. Grab a handful of soil and squeeze, then release. If the soil crumbles, like seen here, then it is fine to work. If the soil makes a ball or if water drips from it, it is too wet to work. As you can see from this squeeze test, this soil is too wet to work. When digging a hole, backhoes and augers make the job easier, but they have their potential problems as well. The heavy equipment can cause glazing of the soil while it's being dug, especially in clay soils. Glazing causes the soil to become smooth and compact like the side of a clay bowl. It can make root growth difficult and cause the hole to hold excess water. If glazing occurs, you will need to rough up the sides of the hole, like shown here, using a shovel to allow for natural root growth and water movement. Erosion is another concern for the protection of soil. Often during landscape or lawn installations, there is a period when the soil is bare without plants. When plant roots and foliage are present, they help to hold soil in place and lessen the impact of rain, but soil particles can easily be carried away on bare soil. Here is a project that did not have an erosion prevention plan in place, but there are several methods of reducing erosion on a job site during an installation process. Silt socks or filter socks are a filter fabric tube that is usually filled with wood chips or compost. They allow water to flow through slowly while trapping sediment. Silt socks are low to the ground and easy to work around. They can be placed around the perimeter of a site and along slopes. Similar products that help to control erosion and slow down storm water movement are straw or core wattles. These are biodegradable and over time will break down. Silt fencing is a woven fabric that is attached to stakes around a site to prevent sediment movement. We can see from the erosion ruts in the soil pile that there had been heavy rain on this construction site, but we can also see that the silt fencing prevented the sediment from moving out onto the sidewalk. There are also erosion prevention mats or blankets that can be used over bare ground. These may be natural or synthetic mesh that is filled with straw, coconut, or wood fibers. They help to stabilize soil on slopes and control sediment. Many are designed to biodegrade as vegetation grows through them. When new lawns are installed in a landscape, they may be mulched with clean straw, recycled newspaper, or other weed and seed-free products. This mulch will help to hold the seeds in place, prevent soil erosion, and keep the soil from crusting over. Do not use hay or other products that could contain weed seeds and may require control in the future. Be careful with the amount of mulch. Do not use too much mulch as it may inhibit seedling growth, smother the seedlings, and lead to disease. Too little may not retain soil moisture and could allow seed movement or erosion. A light layer of mulch will have some soil showing through and can be left in place to decompose. Some landscape projects are done in brand new developments where the landscape is a bare slate with no existing plants. But at other times, landscape projects are done to improve or update an existing landscape. During this type of project, care must be taken to protect the soil around plants that have been designated for preservation. Any type of plant may be designated for preservation, but trees are particularly important because of the time they take to grow, their aesthetic appeal, and the environmental benefits they provide. Healthy trees even add to the value of a property. It is easy to see and preserve the trunks, branches, and leaves of plants. They are where we can easily see them. Protecting roots is a bit more challenging. We cannot see most roots above the ground. Roots are not confined to the area beneath the tree canopy. In fact, some roots can grow to more than 3 times the spread of the tree's branches. If a tree is to be preserved, a protection zone should be marked around it. Typically, the tree protection zone is established at or outside the drip line of a tree, but can vary depending on the tree's species, shape, and tolerance to root disturbance. Stakes and fencing should block traffic and work in the protection zone. It is critical for the preservation of trees to respect the fencing, so do not remove stakes to drive over the protection zone. Driving over the roots compacts the soils and damages the roots. Likewise, do not use the protection zone for piling soil, soil amendments, or work supplies. While it may seem that it's not a big deal to temporarily pile soil in a designated protection zone, it can cause serious root damage. It is also important not to change the grade of soil in a protection zone. Raising or lowering the grade of soil around a tree can be life-threatening to a tree. Although the large woody roots that support the weight of a tree and resist strong winds may reach deep into the soil, most roots that absorb water and nutrients can be found in the upper 12 to 18 inches of the soil. When soils or other materials are piled over roots for a raised grade, it will cause suffocation of the roots. If the grade must be raised, it should be raised outside of the root zone as pictured here. When the grade is lowered, the tree will suffer from root loss, and it can change the availability of water for the tree as well. If a tree is damaged by equipment or workers, it can be marred for life or killed. Some trees decline slowly over several years because of construction injury, while others may die quickly. At some point, the protection zone fencing will be removed, and some landscaping work may be done in the area. If digging is needed to complete your work, be very careful of the roots of trees. The rule of thumb is to never cut through any root that is more than 2 inches thick. As you work on your project, remove all construction debris that you bring or any that you find buried. It is not unusual to find old bricks, rebar, shingles, large rocks, and other debris. These items can interfere with root development and water movement, and they can make it more difficult to dig in the future. Landscape professionals need to be careful to avoid damage to the soil through compaction, glazing, erosion, and too much mulch. While working in a landscape, protective measures such as metal sheeting or preservation zones may need to be put in place to preserve the integrity of the soil structure, plant root systems, and the environment itself when using large construction equipment on a job site.